Hey, so as of now, really my only subscriber is a friend of mine from real life who promised they'd add me on YouTube. So, I figured I could get away with just at least one more hastily thrown together pseudo-spontaneous video that I just made for my own amusement and not expected a great number of people to actually enjoy. Just as some backstory, several months ago, when I was waiting for my boyfriend to finish his laundry, I know, what an exciting life, I found the greatest romance novel just waiting abandoned on a chair. So I took it and didn't bother to return it. Hopefully the owner isn't too pissed at me. And today I decided I'd critique it from the standpoint of a literary scholar, which I am. Yes, it makes me feel important to say that term. The name of this here book is Never Been Kissed by Linda Turner. And I just put some post-it notes in the worst parts, and I wrote my initial thoughts and critiques there. As you can see, this virgin who's never even been kissed is unusually attractive. So, I don't know what really happened to her. Maybe she has some horrible halitosis. I'm not sure. So anyway, this is the story of two medical professionals who, quite predictably, fall in love and get married, and one of them has never been kissed. My first funny quotation is, "He could perform the most intricate heart surgery with his eyes practically closed, but a mechanic he was not." Now, while I'm perfectly aware of the fact that when people say they could do something with their eyes closed, they mean it as a figure of speech. However, it is very funny, darkly so, to imagine this, in this context, being used in a literal sense. It's very frightening to think of doctors with the mindset of reckless children instead of, trying to ride their bikes without handlebars or skateboard down a flight of stairs. They're gambling with more lives than their own. "Oh, look at me, I'm Dr. Jones, and I'm hot shit, just because I can do heart surgery with my eyes squinted. Well, I'm going to pierce that coronary artery with my eyes blindfolded. Hand me that scalpel, Riley." Now, to simply say that this book is crap might not be taking it far enough, because it's probably crap in the sense that the original manuscript was carved onto a piece of dried cow dung with the same instruments used to make cuneiform tablets. And one of the most flagrantly bad pieces of writing in this is, "Gossip was the grease that made most small towns run." Now, she could have said something like, "Gossip made the wheels of the town run," simply, or "Gossip was the fuel that did that," or "Gossip oiled the wheels of the town." I don't know. But even with that, it's still some crappy cliche when it comes down to it. But she chose a metaphor that just doesn't make sense, because grease is rarely used as fuel, at least not in the popular imagination, so it just doesn't work at all. Now, what I find most offensive about this book is not, in fact, its writing, though it's a symptom of horrible writing. Both of these characters, though supposedly intelligent, are not complex figures like the rest of the people in this book. They are stock characters, two-dimensional, except in ways that make sense, given which stock characters they are, and they conform completely into gender roles without questioning. Cursing softly, he wanted to kick himself. He was an intelligent man who knew women. He should have seen the kind of woman she was from her appearance alone. Instead, he jumped to all the wrong conclusions and acted like a general all-around jerk. after she'd spent hours slaving over a hot stove, baking not one cake, but 2 for him. No wonder she'd stormed off like an insulted queen. Sorry, baby, I should have assumed you were one of those, oppressed women, the domestic slave sort. At one point, this Dr. Riley Jones is called upon to deliver a baby, and he says, you don't have to worry that I'm an amateur just because I'm a heart surgeon. Just between you and me, I think they're just a little worried that he does surgeries with his eyes nearly shut. Now, the creepiest part of this has to be when someone says, no wonder so-and-so fell in love with you. You have cheeks like a girl's, as in your prepubescent girl cheeks made you sexually attractive. Now, it's like we're suddenly reading Lolita, except with none of Nabokov's literary brilliance. Now, a particularly odd piece of writing as well is the part where Dr. Jones thinks that the woman he's courting is weird because she likes both Star Wars and Dirty Harry. Now, well, first of all, I'm pretty sure they're in similar genres. I've never seen Dirty Harry. I'm assuming it's action. But the reason that he thinks it's weird is simply because they take place in different settings in terms of time and place. Okay. So, I like that one part in Star Wars where they travel to somewhere light years away in distance and time. And then I like the other part in Star Wars where they travel somewhere even further. And I also like the part where they're traveling. Am I a freak? There's also a piece of recurring imagery. Janie, the female virgin character, feels her body humming at several points. And while I have to give the author credit for originality, because I've never heard it said in such a way, it kind of loses its originality after it is mentioned several times. And also, I'd think someone who is a doctor and yet unfamiliar, well, she's really a nurse, and yet unfamiliar with sexual arousal would be kind of worried about the humming thing. Really, is that supposed to happen? There's also the inevitable makeover scene in which the dowdy virgin suddenly discovers pretty clothes and makeup and abandons her original values. Of course, she spent her previous lifetime doing reading, yes. While other kids were going study and learning how to kiss, I was staying home on Friday nights and reading. 4chan. This is the absolute best part of the book, or perhaps any book. Her blood sang through her veins, setting her body throbbing. But even as she moaned softly, alarm bells clattered loudly in her head, refusing to be ignored. Wild thing, you make my blood sing. Ah, this is such a turn off! Stop ringing alarm bells in my head! I'm thinking she might need some mental help at this point. Unfortunately, there's only one real sex scene, and it comes at the very end. But it's worth reading in a goofy tone. I love you, he said gruffly. I want this to be perfect for you. He couldn't have said anything that would have made her love him more. Touched, tears spilling over her lashes. She covered his hand with hers and pressed it to her pounding heart. With you, it can't be anything else. I love you so much. Love my Rodney, please. Just that easily, she humbled him. How could he have been so blessed to fall in love with such an incredible woman? She was so special, and suddenly nothing was more important than showing her that. His nerves settling, he pushed her blouse from her shoulders with hands that were now steady, and kissed his way down her throat to the curve of her breast. When she gasped softly, he had to smile. It gets better, he promised, and one about showing her how. Hey, Dan Savage, you can take a clue from that. Get it, you're a sex columnist? Oh, I should never make a joke again.